welcome to the final Pro Tour Tournament Centre of Kuala Lumpur 2008. Rich Hagon, Bill Stark. We are reeling from an absolutely outstanding Super Sunday of magic. We had 8 stacked names coming into the draft, a really epic set of quarterfinals, 2 great semis, and an outstanding winner. Let's take you back to the start of the day. The 8 players sitting down: Nikolai Herzog, Hall of Famer; Marcio Carvalho, Portuguese pro; Jon Finkel, the Shadow Mage Infiltrator, another Hall of Famer; Guillaume Wafatapa, constructed genius; Ming Shi, the first Chinese guy ever to make a top 8; Joel Calafell, the outsider from Spain; Mike Rohn, last year's Pro Tour Geneva champion; and finally, Italian Mario Pascoli, the reigning Italian champion. Well, the quarterfinals, how did they go, Bill?
Quarterfinals were actually pretty surprising. Nikolai Herzog, the Hall of Famer, lost to Marcio Carvalho, the Portuguese player. Jon Finkel swept Pro Tour champion Guillaume Wafatapa. Of course, he's known as a constructive mastermind. Didn't show up on the weekend because he managed to do so well, but Jon Finkel, not even looking twice, taking him down. Ming Shi, first Chinese player in the top 8 of a Pro Tour, also the first to make the quarterfinals. First Chinese player to make the semifinals as well, as he took Joel Calafell,
yep.
The Spaniard, 3-1. And then Atron, defending individual limited Pro Tour champion, getting swept on a fortunate draw by Mario Pascoli in the first game, but in 3 games.
All right, so that takes us to the last 3 matches of the season. We have Paulo Carvalho up against Jon Finkel. Finkel playing basically a Kifkin deck, lots of white, little bit of blue, and then Carvalho much more controlling, green-black, and it was basically all about, could Carvalho stabilize? Finkel's always going to have the early game in that match. Carvalho always gets the late game. Where does the tipping point come? For Carvalho fans, it only came early enough once. 3-1, Jon Finkel advances to the final. What about the other semi-final, Bill?
Other semifinal, we had the Chinese player Ming Shi against Mario Pascoli, and of course it was a very tough matchup for Shi, just because of how the decks were set up, but somehow he managed to take 2 games to force a clincher in the 5th, but unfortunately for him, his number was up, and the Italian Pascoli went on to face Jon Finkel in the finals of the Pro Tour. And
we've seen a lot of mental magic going on in this top 8, where players were really hurting themselves with little play errors, and it was how they came out of it. And in that semi-final, Pascoli, having been 2-0 up, brought back to 2-all. He really dealt with himself and said, okay, I am here and that final is mine. And it was a really impressive display of just pulling yourself together and saying, this opportunity does not pass me by. That leaves him in the final against Jon Finkel. Bill, tell us what happened in that final.
Rich, you could not have asked for a better finals game. It was just unbelievable. Everyone, it felt like, in the audience was pushing for Jon Finkel, of course, the Hall of Famer and penultimate best Magic player of all time. There was a crowd of Italians, including Antonino De Rosa, who obviously were pulling for their countrymen, and things went back and forth. They started out in Pascoli's favor, got an early game. Jon,
I got to tell you, by the way, that Antonino De Rosa, his prediction was Mario Pascoli. So he got him all the way to the final, but not quite all the way, because Jon Finkel took it down by 3-1, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we have a new, old Pro Tour champion, and it is the Shadow Mage Infiltrator, Johnny Magic. An absolutely incredible weekend. Now the format, Bill, Lorwyn, Morningtide, it's shown that it's really robust, really very deep, just outstanding fun.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of fun. A lot of pros we talked to this weekend. Really enjoyed the format. Thought it was a lot of fun to play, that it was well balanced. Got to give a hand to the R&D team who's managed to put it together. It's too bad we're not going to see too much more for this season because we've got 2 constructed Pro Tours coming up. But I bet we'll see some Grand Prix that might take advantage of it.
Yeah, and you've still got to be excited because we're going to have Shadow More coming out. The cards just keep on coming. The excitement just keeps on coming. Well, listen, we have had a fantastic time here. We hope that you have had as much fun with us as Bill and I have had with you. But until we meet again around the world, you can see us on the internet. We have weekly columns at certain strategic websites. We will be seen at the European Grand Prix circuit, and of course, we will be with you in Hollywood. So we will see you again. As always, thanks for your company around the world. Until we meet again, I'm your host, Rich Hagon, for Bill Stark, saying bye.